Okay, good morning, everyone. Let me welcome you all to this session on data sufficiency today. I assume that my computer screen, it is visible for you all, right? Can one of you please confirm? Is my computer screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So the topic under consideration, it is data sufficiency. So what this topic it's all about? In this particular set of questions that is coming under this data sufficiency category, first I am going to talk to you about how the question it looks. Okay, how the question, how does it look? So there will be some information that is given to you, and based on that information, one question it will be asked. Okay, now you cannot answer that question with the limited information that is provided in the question stem. Did you get my point? So there will be some information given to you, and based on that information, a question will be asked. But for answering that question, the information that is provided in that question stem, it is not sufficient. Okay. For answering the question, or if you want to try to answer the question, you need something called as extra data. Okay, is it clear to you? For answering that question, you need something called as extra data. Did you hear this point? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this extra data, it will be given in the form of two statements. Statement 1 and statement 2. You will be seeing two statements. Now, your job is to check whether this extra data it is sufficient enough to answer the question or not. That is what you are actually doing here. Okay, so the question type, if you consider, it will be like there will be some information given in the question, given along with the question, and then the question will be asked. You cannot answer that question with the limited information that is given in the question stem. For trying to answer the question that is posted, you need extra data. That extra data will be provided in the form of two statements. Your job is to check whether that extra data it is sufficient enough to answer the question or not. So data sufficiency, it's the sufficiency of this extra data to answer the question. That's all. Now, by explaining 1, 2, 3 questions, you will get a complete grip over this topic. So let us consider our first question. There are 10 questions lined up for today's discussion. So we will discuss all of them. Okay. The first question is, what is the value of X? Okay. So as I told you, the question stem, if you consider, there will be some information, and then based on that, they are asking you one question. What are the information that is provided in this question stem? If you consider the information I can gather, there is a unknown value X. There is an unknown here X. This X, it has got some value and it has got a unique value. I know that the article the used here. So what is the value of X? So a unique value is associated with this unknown. And that is the information that you can gather from the question. And what is the question? The question is, what is the value of X? So this unknown has got an X, unknown has got a value. And what is the value, that unique value associated with this unknown? That is the. Now, what is the value of X? Right now, you are not in a position to answer that question. For that, In order to try whether you can answer the question or not, you need that extra data. And you can see that extra data, it is given in the form of two statements here. Did you see that? This is the first statement and this is the second statement. That is what I'm going to explain now. You take statement number 1 alone. Don't look at statement 2. You take statement 1 alone. What does statement 1 alone say, or it reads? It reads x square is equal to 16. Now quickly unmute and tell me from this, can you tell me what are the possible values for x that you can get? Quickly tell me. X square is equal to 16 means, yeah.
Plus or minus 4.
X could be,
Plus or minus.
yes, it could be plus 4 or it could be minus 4. Now, my question is very simple. Can you tell me what is the value of x? Is it possible for you to answer this question with this extra information, x square is equal to 16? Can you answer the question? Tell me.
No, sir.
No.
No, we cannot answer the question because when I am analyzing statement 1 alone, I am getting two possible values for x. But in the question, it is said what is the value of x. I am not in a position to answer the question. Okay, so I will say that statement 1 alone is not sufficient enough to answer the question. I'm saying statement 1 alone is not sufficient enough to answer the question. If that is the case, then I can eliminate the first option and also I can eliminate the fourth option. Did you get my point? Because statement 1 alone is actually not sufficient enough to answer the question. So I can eliminate option A and I can eliminate option D as well. Okay, now let us continue our analysis further. Forget about what you just now considered, x square equal to 16. I want you to focus only on x greater than 0. So you know that only one input exit is greater than 0. If that is the case, can you tell me what is the value of x? Is it possible for you to give me a unique value associated with x? Yes or no? Is it possible? Please tell me.
No, sir.
It is not possible. Any positive value associated with x, if you consider the number line, you can see it is going something like this. Okay, greater than 0 it is said. So anything 0 to plus infinity I can consider. Did you get my point? Any value I can consider that will satisfy the condition for this x. So what is the value? Again, I cannot actually answer the question with the help of statement 2 alone. So I understood that statement 2 alone is sufficient. It is wrong. Got the point? Now we are left with only two possibilities. What are they? You can check by combining statement 1 and 2 together. Then if you can answer the question, you will mark option C as the answer. Even after combining step 1 and 2 together, you are not in a position to answer the question, then you will say that data is insufficient. That extra data is not sufficient enough to answer the question. Okay, so let us go for it. X square is equal to 16 results in x is equal to plus 4 or x is equal to minus 4. Correct? No? We have x is equal to plus 4 or x is equal to minus 4. Two possibilities are there. Do you agree with me? Now I am considering the information I derived from statement 2. That gives me the clarity that x is greater than 0, which means I can eliminate the possibility that this x is equal to minus 4. I can eliminate that. So by combining 1 and 2 together, yes, it is possible for me to make a conclusion that what is the value of x? Can you tell me? Yes,
4.
it is 4. So I can now say that for this particular data sufficiency question, statement 1 alone is not sufficient. Statement 2 alone is not sufficient to answer the question. But 1 and 2 together, it is sufficient enough to answer the question. Okay, so I can eliminate option E and thus mark option C as the final answer. Did you get my point? Now, one main thing what you all have to note here is that you are not supposed to combine this statement 1 input and statement 2 input in the first phase. You should never combine the two statements in the first phase. You should check whether you can answer the question with 1 alone, with 2 alone. If that fails, then only you should combine the statements 1 and 2 together. Here you did it that way. So you can see that option C, that will be the answer for our question. So is this explanation clear for you? Yes or no? May I know? Could you? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to the next question then. Look at question number 2. Same thing. Okay. Is x greater than 0? So kindly note, for a question of this type, there are two possible answers. Answer, it is either a yes or it is a no. It is a yes or no type of question. Is it so? Yes or no? That is the scenario. Okay. So is x greater than 0? It could be or it will not be. So yes or no type of question. So you know that the information given here is there is a variable or an unknown x, and the question is that x positive? Is it greater than 0? Now, we cannot answer the question right now. Let us consider statement 1 alone. Statement 1, what does it read? X square is equal to 16. So tell me what are the possible outcome I can have? X it is equal to plus 4 or x it is equal to minus 4. Yes or no? So can you answer the question with statement 1 alone? Quickly unmute and tell me, is it possible for you to answer the question with statement 1 alone?
No.
No, because x square is equal to 16 means x could be, that is x square is a positive value. X square is positive means the square root value, it could be positive or negative. So x could be positive or negative. 1 alone is not sufficient enough to answer the question. Then immediately you should eliminate option A, option D. You should eliminate these two. Okay, now the next step. You have x cube. It is equal to a negative value. It is minus 343. Let me consider that x cube is a negative value. If x cube is negative, I can conclude that x is actually a, tell me, x is a positive or negative value? Please tell me fast.
Negative.
Negative.
Yes, I can say that this x, it has to be a negative value. Only when x is negative, our x cube can also be negative. Got my point? So we can see that here x is 100% a negative value. So the question is x greater than 0? My answer is no. But what you have to observe here is that I am able to answer the question now. I can answer the question that x, it is not greater than 0. And kindly note, no is an answer in data sufficiency. Kindly write it down in your worksheet neatly. No is an answer. Okay, in data sufficiency. So please write down this in your worksheet. So I can see that for answering this question, 1 alone is not sufficient, but 2 alone is sufficient enough to answer the question. So earlier, if you remember, we had eliminated the first option and we had eliminated option D as well. But upon analyzing statement 2 alone, I could see x cube is minus 343 means x has to be negative. So I could answer the question. Thus, I can see that this question can be answered with statement 2 alone. So you will mark option B as your final answer. Is this clear to you? Yes or no? Is this explanation sufficient and is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great job. Let's now go to the next question. Okay, look at this third question. Again, similar type only. X, is it greater than 0? This is the question. So the expected answer, it is either a yes or a no, which means you should be able to give a solid yes or a solid no. That is what. Okay. Now let us consider statement 1 alone. Statement 1 alone gives me what? X cube is equal to a positive number. If x cube is positive, can you tell me what is the nature of x? Can you tell me? Unmute and tell me. If x cube is positive, x has to be positive. So x is positive. So is it possible for you to answer that question, is x greater than 0, with statement 1 alone? Can you answer the question? That is more important. Can you answer the question with statement 1 alone?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. So kindly note it in this way. You can answer the question with statement 1 alone. Okay. Now let us focus on statement 2 alone. Okay. So when I consider statement 2 alone, I can see x cube, it is a negative value. So you can conclude that this x, it has to be a negative value. Got my point? Now, my question is, can you answer the question with statement 2 alone? Is it possible for you to answer the question with statement 2 alone? Tell me.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. So you can just see that here in this particular question, is x greater than 0? That is the question. This question can be given a clear answer with statement 1 alone, also with statement 2 alone. So kindly note here the answer, it will be each statement alone is sufficient. Kindly note, sometimes you may be having a doubt like this. Sir, how it is possible? Because in one case, I am getting yes as an answer. In another case, I am getting no as an answer. So when I am now considering the statement 1 and 2 together, then I am actually confused. Is x greater than 0? Like that, sometimes you may be having a doubt in your mind. But at that time, you should remember the mantra, what I told you. You are supposed to combine statement 1 and 2 together only and only when you clearly know that 1 alone is not sufficient and 2 alone is not sufficient. Here you can see 1 alone is sufficient. You can answer the question. 2 alone is sufficient. You can answer the question. So it is possible that we can answer the question with that statements, individual statement alone. Did you get my point? So keeping this in mind, kindly note, we can say that you can answer this question with the individual statements. So option D will be the answer. Individually, when you consider there is a yes and there is a no here, we won't be bothered about this yes or this no. Our botheration is only this much. Can you answer the question or not? Got my point? So D is the answer for our question here. Okay. Let us now go to the fourth question. Have a look at this fourth question. Look at this. Question number 4. So I want you people to read this question carefully. Okay. So then you may attempt the question. Okay. Take your time to read the question and then attempt the question. Okay. So here you can see there is one person, Mrs. Brown, dividing altogether 50 students into 3 groups for some class project. So altogether you are considering 50 students here. You are dividing those 50 students into 3 groups. Let me say group 1, G1, group 2, G2, and group 3, it is G3. Okay, let me consider that group 1 has got X number of students, group 2 Y number of students, and group 3 Z number of students. And we can see that here in group 3, when we are considering Z number of students are there, let me assume that this group 3, this is the largest group. Let me assume that group 3, this is the largest group. Okay, now how many children are there in the largest group? So what is the value associated with Z? This is the question that is posed in front of us. Okay. Now, with this information, right now, it is not possible for us. Okay, you can see group 3, that is equal to Z. You can see that with this information, it is not possible for us to find out what is the value associated with this Z. Okay. So for that, the extra information it is given. Let us consider the first information. The total number of children in the 2 smaller groups, it is equal to the number of children in the largest group. We can thus conclude that with statement 1 alone, we have X plus Y, the total number of children in the 2 smaller groups, G1 and G2. This total X plus Y, it is equal to number of children in the largest group, that is Z. So we can see that here X plus Y, it is equal to Z. But we also have another result. Okay, that is x plus y plus z, this total. Can anyone unmute and tell me what will be this value? X plus y plus z. Tell me. That is equal to 50. So this information I am getting from the question. And with statement 1 alone, I am getting the next input x plus y is equal to z. So what I am going to do here is, instead of this x plus y, I am going to present this z plus the z that is already here. So z plus z, that is equal to 50. This gives me 2z, that is equal to 50. And we will find that z it is equal to 25. In the question, you are asked what is the number of children in the largest group. As indicated in the beginning, you are asked to find the value associated with z. So we can see that z it is equal to 25 in this case. Is it clear to you? So I can thus see that this question, how many children are there in the largest group? I can answer that question with the help of statement 1 alone. Did you get this point? Let me know. Did you get this point? With 1 alone, I can answer the question. Is it clear to you? So because of this, I can eliminate the second choice here, because of which I can now eliminate the data insufficient option here. I can also eliminate choice C here because both are required. That aspect is not going to be there in the picture. Okay, so now I need to check whether I can answer this question with statement 2 alone. The smallest group contains 6 children. Smallest group contains 6 children, which means the other two groups, if you take, the total will be coming to 44. But I don't know how many number of children will be there in the largest group for that matter. Smallest group is 6. From that, it is not possible for me to derive and find out how many children are there in the largest group. Did you get my point? So I can thus eliminate option D as well. So can you tell me what is the answer for our question now? Could you please tell me? Yes, kindly unmute and tell me what will be the answer.
Option A.
Yes, 1 alone is sufficient, but 2 alone is not sufficient. Option A is what you should mark as your answer. So is this explanation clear to you all? Let me know. Are you clear with that explanation I have shared with you? Please let me know. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. Let's now go to the next question. Okay. Here we go. Look at this question. Quickly read the question. So the total cost of food for the raccoons at the wildlife rescue, it has increased. Why it has increased? Because the number of these raccoons at this rescue, it has increased. So more the raccoons, the more the food required, so the more the cost. Okay, that is the logic. So this is actually an information that is getting, that you are getting from this question. Okay, so that is a valid information. Make a note of this. Okay, more the raccoons, then more the food, because of which more the cost. So make a note of this. Now it costs the same amount to feed each raccoon. So there is nothing like one raccoon, the cost is more because that raccoon eats. For one raccoon, it is on diet. So that raccoon will be eating less. So less cost. Nothing like that. The cost is Janata, uniform. Okay. So the cost associated with each raccoon in terms of food, when you are considering, it is given in the question that it is the same amount. Now, the question is the cost of food for 7 raccoons, is it more than $2,000 annually? That is the question. So you are considering the annual cost here. Is it more than $2,000? That is the question. So tell me, what is the type of question here that is presented here? If it costs the same amount to feed each raccoon, is it so more than 2000? So what is the nature of the answer here? Can you tell me? The answer nature is Yes or no type. It's a yes or no type. Okay. Now, let us consider the first input here, the statement here. Right now, with this information, you don't know where the cost is heading towards. We don't have that data now. So for that, I'm considering that extra information. Okay. So everybody observe the first statement that is presented here. The first statement is it costs more than $1,000 annually to feed 4 raccoons. So if I consider the cost to feed 1 raccoon, okay, let that be equal to R. So I can thus see that this 4R, to feed 4 raccoons, the cost will be 4R. This 4R, it will be more than 1,000. That's what it means. Thus, I can conclude that R, it will be more than 250. Do you agree with me? So, the question is, if R is more than 250, the question is 7R more than 2000? That is the question. Okay, so what do you think? Can you answer the question here with 7R more than 2000 with the help of this input? R is more than 250. What do you say? Is it possible you can answer it? Tell me fast.
No.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me, assume some values and then tell me, is it possible to give an answer, a unique answer for this question? If you say that it is, then it should be a solid yes. If you say it is a no, then it should be a solid no. Okay. See, I will tell you, suppose I have R equal to 300. How much? 7 into 300, 2100. Thus, I can see that yes, the cost it is going to be more than 2000. This is the case when I have the R value satisfying the condition more than 250. So 7R, I can see it is more than 2000. But the same scenario, if I consider R, it is equal to 260. Still, I am satisfying the condition. 7R in this case, it is nothing but 7 into 260. 7 into 260, it comes to 1820 only. Got my point? And this 1820, if you consider, this will be less than 2000. So I can see that in one case I am getting yes, it is more than 2000. In another case, I am getting 1820. Conclude that for this answering the question, statement 1 alone is not sufficient. Is it clear to you? Please let me know. Is it clear to you? So satisfying R greater than 250, we can see that 7R may be more than 2000 or maybe not more than 2000. It can be less than 2000 also. So right explanation and logic clear to you all? Yes, please let me know. Feedback is important, so please let me know. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 1 alone is not sufficient. I'm clear with it. So I can direction. That's why. It costs more than $1,500 annually to feed 5 raccoons. So based on our previous assumption, we can see 5R. Previous assumption in the sense, the question I am saying, okay, not with reference to statement, the cost associated with 1 raccoon, I assume to be equal to R. So I can see 5R. The cost associated with 5 raccoon, it is more than 1,500. This gets me the information R, it will be more than how much? Can anyone unmute and say R will be more than how much?
300.
300. If R is more than 300, obviously 7R will be more than how much? 2000. Because if you calculate 7R, it will minimum come to 2100. Did you get my point? So 7R is definitely going to be more than 2000. Did you get my point? So the question that is being posted here is the cost, is it going to be more than 2000 annually? This is the question. So what is your opinion? With statement 2 alone, what is your opinion? Tell me, is it going to be more than or less than? What is your opinion? Tell me fast. It is going to be more than 2000, and I can answer the question with statement 2 alone. Got it? So we can see that for this question, statement 2 alone is sufficient. 1 alone is not sufficient. So you will mark option B as your answer choice. Is it clear to you? Is this explanation clear to you? Please let me know.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
sir, from statement 1, we are getting that the cost of food for 7 raccoons won't be more than 2000, no, sir. So it also answers whether it is yes or no
How? I
type.
gave you another option. See, this condition you have to satisfy is R should be more than 250. Correct? That is the condition you have to satisfy. I hope you missed the one part what I explained. R more than 250 means if I consider the cost of feeding one raccoon, it is equal to 300. I am still satisfying the condition R is more than 250. Got my point? Then what will be the value for 7R? Tell me what will be 7R then?
Greater than 2000.
So in one case, you just now told me you got it as less than 2000. In another case, I am proving that it is indeed more than 2000. So tell me, is one alone sufficient enough to answer the question?
No, sir.
Now, are you convinced with that explanation I gave you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Say you take R as 300. So you can see that in order to feed 4 raccoons, the cost will be 4 into 300. The value comes to 1200. You can see that it costs more than 1000. You can see here the cost is 1200. You are satisfying that condition presented in statement 1. And you can see that 7R, it is more than 2000. But it is possible you consider 260, you consider. Okay, so you can see that 260 into 4 you are satisfying the cost is more than 1000. But in order to feed 7 raccoons, 7 into 260, if you calculate that value, it is less than 2000. Did you get my point? So one alone is actually not sufficient enough to answer the question, because in one case you do see that it is more than 2000. In another case, you see that it is less than 2000. Did you get my point? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Have I given you convincing explanation for this? Right? Okay. Let's go to the next question then. Question number 6. Look at this question. Read it fast and let me know what will be the answer. Okay. A certain voting block has how many voters? That is the question. Okay. So we can see, let us consider, for answering this question, let us consider the number of voters be equal to n in this case. What is the value for n? That is the question. Let us consider statement 1 alone. Statement 1 alone says if no additional voters are added, 4 of the current voters they leave the block, then there will be fewer than 20 voters. Fewer than 20 voters means less than 20 voters, which means from n, if 4 goes off, the number of voters will be less than 20. Mathematically, n minus 4 is less than 20. Since you are dealing with voters, that is human beings in this case, you can see that n can take numbers from 4 to 23 in this case. Any value from 4 to 23 you consider, it will satisfy n minus 4 less than 20. Okay, you can see if n is equal to 4, 4 minus 4, 0. 0 is less than 20. You take n is equal to 5. 5 minus 4, 1. 1 is less than 20. Like that, if you consider, you can see, you can come up to 23. 23 minus 4, that is 19. 19 is less than 20. I cannot take 24 because 24, if I take for n, 24 minus 4 is 20, but the 20 is equal to 20. 20 is not less than 20. Did you get my point? So with statement 1 alone, I can see that here the possible values for the number of voters in the block, it could be anywhere within the range 4 to 23. Did you get my point? So first statement alone is not sufficient enough to answer the question. But I get an input that this could be anywhere within the range 4 to 23. Got it? So I can see that option A can be eliminated because 1 alone is not sufficient. So I can eliminate D as well. Did you get my point? Now let us consider statement 2 alone. It says 4 more join the block and the present voters they remain, then there will be at least 27 voters, which means n plus 4 if you consider at least 27 means it could be 27 or more than 27. That is the logic. At least means minimum it could be 27 or anything more than that. If this is the scenario, you can see that n can take any value from 23 to infinity. Okay, anything you can consider. 23 to any value it can take. 23 plus 4 is 27. You can't take n as 22 because 22, if you take 22 plus 4 is 26. That 26 is not more than 27. Anything from 23 and above, that is what you can get from statement 2 alone. Did you get my point? So again, statement 2 alone is not sufficient enough to answer the question. So you can eliminate option B as well. Now the next step, you combine statement 1 and statement 2 inputs together. Got it? So when you combine 1 and 2 together, yes, it is possible to get a unique value associated with the number of voters. Can you tell me how much it is? Tell me. 1 gives you 4 to 23. 2 gives you 23 and above. So combining them, you get the value for n. How much is it?
23.
23.
23. So when you combine 1 and 2 together, yes, you can answer the question. So it is not about data insufficient. So you will mark option C as your answer here. So is this explanation clear to you all? Let me know. All right. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to the next question then. Question number 7. Look at this. What is the value of positive 2-digit integer x? This is the question. Okay. The sum of the 2 digits, it is 5. So we are dealing with 2-digit integers here. The integers are given to be positive. Okay, what is the value associated with it? That is the question. So sum of the digits 5, you can consider the numbers. It could be 14, or it could be 23, or it could be 32, or it could be 41, or it could be 50 as well. So what is the value associated with the integer? With statement 1 alone, unmute and tell me, with statement 1 alone, is it possible for getting a unique value with x? Can you tell me fast?
No.
No. So 1 alone is not sufficient. So eliminate option A and eliminate option D. Now focus on the second input. X is prime. We have a lot of 2-digit prime numbers, right? We can see 11 is there, 13 is there, 17 is there, 19 is there. The list goes on. So is it possible to answer the question, what is that 2-digit positive integer x, by knowing that x is prime? Is 2 alone sufficient enough to answer the question? Tell me fast. It is not sufficient. Okay, so 2 alone is sufficient is wrong. So we can eliminate this B also. Now the next step, you combine statement 1 and statement 2 together. So statement 1, if you take, you can see 14, 23, 32, 41, 50. Statement 2 gives you the input that this x is prime. Still, you can see there are two situations. There is a 23 here and 41 here that satisfy the condition that the sum of the digits is 5 and the number is prime as well. So what is the value of this positive two-digit integer x? Can you answer the question even after combining statement 1 and 2 together? Please tell me, is it possible?
No, sir.
Which means I can see that even after combining, nothing is going to happen, means you can see that option E, statement 1 and 2 together, not sufficient enough to answer the question. Which means for this question, I will say that extra data is insufficient. This is the logic. Okay. Now let us go to the next question. Question number 8. The question is y an integer? This is the question. They say 7y is an integer. If they say 7y is an integer, I say 7y it is equal to 7. I say 7y is an integer. I take 7y is equal to 7. This gets me y is equal to 1. So I can say that y is an integer. Okay, so from statement 1 alone, I am getting y as an integer in one instance. Look at this. I say 7y. Okay, 7y it is equal to 1. Yes, I can see that this 7y is an integer. And this gives me y is equal to how much? This y it is equal to how much it comes? Can you tell me? 1 by 7. I can conclude that this y it is not an integer. Did you get my point? So, satisfying the condition 7y is an integer, I can see in one case y is an integer, in another case y is not an integer. So, my question, quickly answer me, is statement 1 alone sufficient enough to answer the question? Make it fast.
Not sufficient.
No. So, I can say option D is out and option A is also out. Look at that statement 2 alone. Statement 2 alone, if you take y by 7, this is an integer, it is given. If y by 7, it is an integer, then I can consider that the 7z, z into 7, that is equal to y, and I can automatically conclude that an integer into 7 will be an integer, which means y is definitely an integer. I can conclude with the help of statement 2 alone. Did you get my point? You can see that this y by 7, if it is an integer, then understand y has to be a multiple of 7. Any multiple of 7, if you take, it will satisfy the condition y by 7 becoming an integer. Okay, 14, 21, 28, or minus 14, minus 21, minus 28. Anything you can take which is a multiple of 7, either a positive or a negative integer, always y by 7 will be an integer, which implies y is an integer. So I can see that you can answer this question with statement 2 alone. So you will mark option B as the answer here. Is it clear to you? Fine.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to the next question then quickly. Okay, let's go to this. 1 second. Yeah, this gets over very fast. The question is, how many girls are the members of both the diving team and the swimming team? That is the question. So you are considering a situation where there are some divers and swimmers there. Okay, so you are asked to find how many girls are there. They belong to this diving and the swimming team. So if I consider that this is the area, okay, that is referring to the diving team, and this is the area that is corresponding to the swimming team, you are asked to find what is the value associated with the number of girls who belong to the diving as well as the swimming team. Okay, so for answering this question, you should have an idea about what is the total number of girls and the number associated with the diving, the swimming, and some details you need to know. Okay, let us consider the first input. At a joint meeting of the diving team and swimming teams, no members were absent and 18 girls were present. With statement 1 alone, you get only one input, that the total number of girls under consideration, that is equal to how much? That is equal to 18. So that is the only input that you get from statement 1 alone. But from that, it is 18. How many belong to diving? How many belong to swimming? And how many belong to both? I cannot arrive at. So statement 1 alone is not sufficient. Eliminate option A and option D in this case. Now let us focus on statement 2 alone. And when I focus on statement 2 alone, I can see that here, look at statement 2 alone. Okay, the diving team has 27 members. One third of them were girls, which means there were 9 girls who were part of the diving team. Okay, and in the question it is given swimming team has 24 members, half of them were girls, which means 12 girls, they belong to the swimming team. Half of 24, it is 12. So 12 girls were swimmers in total. But again, how many belong to diving and how many belong to swimming? That information it is missing when you are considering statement 2 as well. Statement 2 gives you only 9 girls from the diving and 12 girls from the swimming. But what about the overlap? That we don't know. Did you get my point? It could be something like this. All 9 are divers and the remaining 3, they are swimmers. So 9 plus 3, 12 girls are belonging to swimming. This could also be a possibility. But we don't know what is the reality here. Okay. But when you combine, so I'm sure that statement 2 alone is also not sufficient enough to answer the question. Now, when you combine 1 and 2 together, I can see that 9 girls belong to diving, 12 girls they belong to swimming. Now, 18 girls are there in total. That input I get from statement 1 alone. So, when I combine them, it is possible for me to find the value associated with this region, how many they belong to both diving and swimming. You can do it very simple manner. Venn diagrams, X and Y and Z you have that this value X plus Y plus Z. It is indeed 18 because the meeting it is happening here between the diving and swimming teams. So there will be no girl who do not belong to anyone other than diving and swimming. So none of the two value will be equal to 0 because the meeting is happening between the divers and swimmers over there. So there is no girl who is actually not a diver, not a swimmer. Got it? So that value has to be 0. And as I told you, that is an information that you are getting from that data, that is statement 1. So we have x plus y plus z, it is equal to 18. You know that x plus y, it is equal to 9. This gives you the value associated with z. How much it comes to? Can anyone quickly unmute and tell me? We are running short of time. Can you tell me how much the value for z it comes? Z will be equal to x plus y plus z is 18, x plus y is 9. So z will be equal to 9. So can you tell me what is y now? Y has to be 3. And what should be x? This x has to be 6. So by combining 1 and 2 together, yes, you can answer the question. Did you get my point? So we can see that for this particular question, both the statements together, they are sufficient enough to answer the question. Option C will be the answer here. Okay, fine. Let's quickly get into the last question, question number 10. It's very easy. If j and k are positive numbers, the question is j upon k greater than 1? Okay, you can see that j minus k, this is greater than 0. Okay, if j minus k, it is greater than 0, understand j will always be greater than k. Did you get my point? Okay, so we can conclude that in this case, j minus k, if it is greater than 0, j by k. Okay, we can conclude what will be the case. J and k, they are given to be positive numbers. Okay, so this is another point that you have to note here. So definitely j minus k greater than 0 means j has to be greater than k. So j by k will be greater than 1. Got it? So we can conclude that here statement 2 alone is sufficient enough to answer the question. Got it? So we can eliminate the first choice here. That is A you can eliminate. Okay, kindly note A you can eliminate, and also we can eliminate data insufficient. We can also eliminate C. Got it? Because Both statements together, we don't have to check because statement 2 alone is sufficient enough to answer the question. Okay, now when we consider j into k less than 1, actually I can see that that is not sufficient enough to answer the question. I'll tell you why. Jk less than 1, let me say j is equal to 1 by 3, k is equal to 1 by 2. J and k, they are positive numbers. You can see jk, it is less than 1. But in this case, if you consider j, it is indeed less than k. That is what I can understand. Okay, so when I consider the value j by k, I can see that j upon k, it is less than 1 in this case. But if I change the values, say j is equal to 1 by 2 and k equal to 1 by 3, interestingly, I can see that j, it is actually more than k. Okay, but when I consider j by k, I can see that j by k, this value, it is more than 1. So with statement 1 alone, I can see satisfying the condition j into k less than 1. In one instance, I am getting this is more than 1. In another instance, I am getting it is less than 1. So 1 alone is not sufficient enough to answer the question. So I can eliminate option D, each statement alone is sufficient. Thus, it helps me to identify that for this question, statement 2 alone is sufficient, but 1 alone is not sufficient. Option B, that will be the final answer for this question. All right. So dear students, with this, we will conclude today's session. I assume that this explanations that I shared with you, it is clear for you all. All right. Okay. 1 second. All right.